Hey, what's up guys? Gonna do another knife review. This one is on my Finbear. This is a cold steel fixed blade. This one is heavily used. First, the sheath. This is just a very simple Cordura sheath. Nothing crazy, nothing expensive or fancy. It just gets the job done. Holds this much handle here. See, the handle ends right here. And then we have the blade. So it's very secure. It's not going to fall out very easily. I mean, if I were to whip this, I'm sure it would come out, but it's fine. It serves its purpose. It's not the best sheath in the world. Just got a simple belt loop on it, but it definitely serves its purpose. You can see the stitching is coming off just a little on the end. It's really no big deal though. If you were to carry this and use it every day, I think that eventually you'd probably want to invest in some other kind of sheath. But for most of you out there, and for me, it's adequate. It's totally fine. I really don't have too many critiques about the sheath, particularly because of the price of the knife. Right off the bat, this knife retails for $18.99. In other words, you can buy it pretty much anywhere for about $10 to $12. So it's a very economical knife. So you can't expect much for the sheath. I think it's totally cool for the price. So here's the knife, cold steel Finbear. See, it says on the blade right there, Finbear. And this is their version of a Finnish knife. That's where the fin comes from. A kind of a design off the Puukko knives. You know, similar design. Although this is not Scandinavian ground, it's hollow ground, but basically the same concept. It's an all-around hunting, fishing, outdoor knife. Now the handle shape here. Now I have to show you the butt end of the knife to show you this. It's kind of a teardrop shape. It's actually pretty interesting. When I first got it, and my critique still stands, is that the front here is just a little too narrow for it to be super comfortable. In other words, when I grip down hard on this, it's just a little bit extra pressure in my fingers here, which is unneeded. I think if they widen this just a little, or if they came up the same height, but didn't make it as pointy or as narrow towards the tip, I think it'd be a little bit better. But not a huge deal, to be honest. I mean, I use this knife for batoning more than anything else. In fact, this is the sole knife I've used all this past winter for wood processing. I made over 100 fires to heat my house, and between a small hatchet and this knife, it got the job done every single time. Was no issues whatsoever. It's definitely a strong knife. Blade steel on here is that 4116 Krupp. Stainless, and it's been fine. There's, you can flex the knife just a little bit. It never snapped. It's really been fantastic. You can see, like I said, I mean, it's literally gone through hundreds of logs, and there's no bend in it whatsoever. As far as chipping, there was a tiny bit of chipping. Hopefully I can show you this in the blade. It really not much. You can see one right there. Very, very slight. It's not much. It's not even really worth mentioning because of all the the work I put this knife through. It's kind of expected. Again, for a $12 knife, I couldn't be happier with this. Very lightweight, 2.8 ounces overall. You have a 4-inch blade here, 8.5 inches long. The blade steel is 2.5 millimeters thick. So it's not a super thick blade, but it's not really thin either. Like I said, I've been really pounding the crap out of this all winter. And to be honest, every single time I used it, I was waiting for it to break. I was waiting for it to just snap off or bend or something so I could do a video on it. I wasn't purposely trying to abuse it. I was just using it normally, batoning through wood with it. But I kept thinking, I swear to God, every single time I did, I kept thinking, man, this is going to snap or this is going to break, and I'll just make a video on it and so forth. But it never did. It's totally held up, and you can see there's a lot of use on this, guys. This is probably my most used knife this past year. Use it for all kinds of stuff besides the batoning. Use it to cut up some cardboard, some plastic. The edge, it doesn't hold a great edge, to be honest. I did have to sharpen it quite a few times, but that's the trade-off. You do have a more flexible, softer steel, so it's able to go through a little bit more abuse, but you do give up that edge holding capability by going with something softer. So it's a give and take. It's always going to be a give and take, but I think this is a fantastic knife. For the price, one of my favorite out there. Of course, there's different, in this series of cold steel knives, these fixed blades, there's a couple different ones. There's like I'm trying to think of the name. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but there's a couple different varieties of fixed blade in the same price range, same size. You know, they're just different styles depending on where in the country, or excuse me, where in the world you'd like to model your knife after. Cold Steel does a good job as far as making their own versions of all different kinds of traditional knives all around the globe. So it's really fascinating. Lynn Thompson, the president, he certainly has an appreciation for all kinds of cutlery, like I said, from all corners of the globe, and he does basically his own version of a lot of different knives from different countries. And like I said, this is his interpretation of a Finnish puukko knife, or you know, Scandinavian style bushcraft knife. And although they went with not so Scandinavian traditional grind, it's worked out fine. It's a fantastic knife for the money. Like I said, it's really held up. I've smacked on this handle quite a bit. It is not chipped, broke, anything. In fact, with a little bit of water, it cleaned up pretty nicely. I got all the wood chips and stuff off of it because it was kind of embedded in the plastic. But yeah, my only real critique on this at all is just because of that teardrop shape on here. And I've used this I've used this knife with and without gloves. And with gloves, it's fine, it's not an issue. But barehanded, when I really grip down on this hard, it just puts a little too much pressure on my fingers. I think it's just unnecessary. So that's my only critique, is if they rounded that off just a little bit, or made it just a little bit wider, it would have been better for comfort. But overall, it's fine. It's been a fantastic knife. I really can't say much bad about it. Again, considering the price, I mean, I can't compare it with a $50 knife or a $100 knife or a $500 knife. It just doesn't work that way. Of course, I could, if I had a more expensive knife, I could say, yeah, this is better, this is better, this is better. But really, I mean, it really comes down to price and what you're getting for your money. And I think this is fantastic. So not only would I recommend the Finbear to anyone who's looking for an affordable fixed blade for, say, a tackle box, or just to throw in their backpack as a spare knife, or a camp knife, maybe even just your main knife. You don't necessarily have to spend a lot of money to get a decent knife. I would be very, very secure and feel comfortable using this in a camp situation. Of course, within its own limits for that size knife. But it's held up great as long as you keep a sharpening stone on hand, or some kind of sharpening method, whatever your preferred method is, to keep that edge nice and sharp. I think you'd be very happy with this. But what I was saying is, not only do I recommend the Finbear, but also all of the other similar fixed blades in this price range and in this kind of mini series that Cold Steel did. Their little trip around the world, you know. I think they're all fantastic knives and definitely worth the money. So that's it. That's my review of the Finbear from Cold Steel. Highly recommended. I think everyone out there is always looking for a good little beater knife, and will definitely fit the bill for most of you guys. So that's all. Hope you guys enjoy the review. I thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.